Yo, what's good, y'all? I was just having this discussion with my bro. I just thought of this real deep point we made. We was talking about like I'm trying to say it right, identification. Like what you identify as and what you feel as in your mind. That's what you think you are, but it's not really who you are. Like, so I want to use this example. Like I have family members who which is everybody, you have people that, mentally change, and we all mentally change, and especially through these type of times, we all changed up a lot. But, a lot of people I know that just go through a lot of mental things, and it's like, you're like, damn, I love them, but you be like, damn, they ain't the same. So you could be like, do I even love them anymore? Because they just don't seem like the same person anymore. So that's why it seems like love is so conditional, because we only love people for how we identify them as, for how we see them as. So when they're not who we want them to be or who we think they are, we start to change how we feel. So I feel like love isn't really unconditional ever, because you can love somebody. The only time you can really truly unconditionally love somebody is probably if it's like a child, like your kid, or maybe a mom, but most of the time, most love is conditional, because everybody changes. I got a dog that's a lot older, that almost is like has dementia and dog, and in his mind, he's almost like does a lot of things that I always know, like he forgets things, doesn't do things right, and I'm like, damn, it's even like not just humans, not just us that are like so fragile mentally. So it just makes me like, in a way, I could be honest, like, damn, it's kind of scary that we so fragile mentally that we can just change at any second. You have one accident, you have anything, happen to your brain or your, even just your spirit, something happened that changes you, and just like, damn, you a whole different person. Like Malcolm X's mother in that movie, it's just like, it changes who you are. And that's why identifying with on a positive side, identifying with bad things, or like identifying with a person you were, or you thought you were, or who you were told you were. Like if you were like a person in high school who was like, oh, I always got bullied, I wasn't cool, I wasn't this, I wasn't that. None of that stuff means that's who you are now, or you ever were that. It's just because you identify with it. It's just because you identify with people told you were. And people told you was, a scrawny kid, you couldn't be a wrestler on a team, you couldn't be this, you couldn't be that, you was fat, you was this. It's just what you was told, and you identify with it. That don't mean you truly were. Even if you had lacking those capabilities physically, that's not who you truly are. Who we truly are is more than we're told we are, more than the physical, more than the ideas that we have, more than just like thoughts. We're not our thoughts. We're not what we think we are. You know what I mean? It's such a fragile thing that's so like amazing though. It's like, but when we change, you got to understand we're not always going to be I know I'm rambling, but this is a lot of things that I have going on my mind. When we change, you got to understand people are going to want you to be the person they thought you were, but that's not real life. You have kids, by the time they're 12, they're going to be a whole different person. They're going to not want you to hold their hand. They're going to not want you to, even tell them what to do. And it's going to be like, oh, you're going to have me tell you what to do as your parent. But that's just how it's going to go, man. That's just how it is as a young, a teen going into adulthood. As a young man, you're going to change. Then when you're 30, you're going to change. You 40, hopefully you change, or you shouldn't stay the same. But even then, even if you live longer than that, if you get to your 50s, 60s, you're going to think different. You're going to eat different. You're going to have to if you want to survive. You're going to be a whole different person through so many stages of life. That's why it's called childhood, adulthood, all of those things that we call certain stages of life. Life is about change. Life is about not only change physically, mentally, but how you look at yourself. I can't look at myself as the person I was last week, last month, last year, 3 years ago, because I'm not that person in so many different ways. Every time you put some food in your body, you change, you change the way you are. You meditate, you're changing the way your mind works. You go to the gym, you're changing the way you physically are. So you always got to keep that in your mind. You be like, If I'm changing every day, I'm going to change for the better. I'm only going to go up. You got to climb up the ladder. You can't fall down. You got to climb up that ladder, man. You got to do the best things you can to improve and to not be like, I'm going to identify as a person I was last year that had got me nowhere. We know those results. I know the results I was doing last year didn't work. Certain jobs I was at, certain mindsets that I had after I left those jobs or left those situations or left, you know what I mean? Anything like that, any type of relationship situations, you can't be that same person. You got to change, man. You got to change always. That's the way of life. It's always going to be some moving motions. You know what helped you yesterday? If you had like a boat yesterday that got you over the lake, you might have to let it go when you're going through the trees and going through the forest or something. You got to let it go. You got to move on. So everything that helped you yesterday might not be able to help you today. And that's such a great lesson to learn, man. You always got to be able to change. You got to be able to go inside you and know who you are personally, and always be willing to change personally, inside, outside, whatever you think to improve. Because once you do that, you already got a cheat code in the game, because it's never going to be the same. It's never going to be how you were when you were 10, how you were when you were 20, if you 30, how you were when you were 30, when you're 40. Your kids going to grow, your life going to change, the outside world going to change. The world ain't just going to stop. There is no finish line, man. I used to have that mentality where it's like, oh, I made the finish line. I did this. I did this. I did that. I did that. Goals are cool because they keep us motivated as people. We need those goals. You know, our minds work goal-oriented. But there is no end goal. There is no end goal in life, man. You just got to have fun with it. There is no end goal. You can have goals, but there is no end goal, man. You can get $1 billion, man, and life ain't just going to stop. Even if you're satisfied with that, your life is not ever over. You can be satisfied at 10 years old. You can be like, man, I'm 10 years old. I made it past elementary school, whatever. You be like, I did it. If that was your goal, that don't mean you're going to be finished unless your life actually ends. God tells you when the finish line is. That's why you keep going. You keep running. You keep improving. You keep getting stronger. You keep focusing, because you can't just be like, oh, I'm done, or let this finish me. There is nothing that's going to finish you until you're actually finished. You here for a reason, man. Stay locked in, stay motivated, and stay focused, man.